Do you want to know what it is? The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. This is the construct. It's our loading program. You can load anything from clothing, equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything.
Right now, we're inside a computer.
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of the digital self. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste, and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by the brain. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neil. This is the world as it exists today. generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery, 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes. Watched them liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously to the living. And standing there, facing the pure, horrifying precision, I came to realize the obviousness of the truth. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out.
Born. There are none so enslaved as those who falsely believe they are free. Gertie. When a few people wish to control and direct a mass of humanity, there are certain key structures that have to be in place. These are the same whether you are seeking to manipulate an individual, family, tribe, town, country, continent, or planet. First you have to set the norms. What is considered right and wrong, possible or impossible, sane or insane, good and bad. Most of the people will follow those norms without question because of the bar mentality why, which has prevailed within the collective human mind for at least thousands of years. Second, you have to make life very unpleasant for those few who challenge your imposed norms. The most effective way to do this is to make it, in effect, a crime to be different. So those who beat to a different drum, or voice a different view, version of truth and lifestyle, stand out like a black sheep in the human herd. You have already conditioned that herd to accept your norms as reality, and so, in their arrogance and ignorance, they then ridicule or condemn those with a different spin on life. This pressurizes them to conform and serves as a warning for those others in the herd who are also thinking of breaking away. There is a Japanese saying that goes, "Don't be a nail that stands out above the rest because that's the first one to get hit." This creates a situation fundamental to the few controlling the many, in which the masses police themselves and keep each other in line. The sheep become the sheepdog for the rest of the herd. It is like a prisoner trying to escape while the rest of his cellmates rush to stop him. If that happened, we would say the prisoners were crazy. How could they do that? But humans are doing precisely this to each other every day by demanding that everyone conform to the norms to which they blindly conform. This is nothing less than psychological fascism, the thought police with agents in every home, everywhere. Agents so deeply conditioned that most have no idea they are unpaid mind controllers. "I'm just doing what's right for my children," I hear them say. No, what you have been programmed to believe is right for them, and I know that strictly speaking the collective word for sheep is flock and not herd, but I prefer herd, so sod convention. The belief, also, that only you know best. I remember debating with the former chief rabbi of the United Kingdom at the Oxford Union Debating Society, and he simply could not see a difference between education and indoctrination. It was a wonder to behold. We see the same theme in our daily experiences of people in uniform and others from the masses who are promoted to power over the masses. It's summed up by the satirical version of the British Labour Party song, "The Red Flag," which goes, "The working class can kiss my ass. I've got the foreman's job at last. This is all part of the divide and rule strategy so vital to ensuring that the herd will police itself. Everyone plays a part in everyone else's mental, emotional, and physical imprisonment. All the controllers have to do is pull the right strings at the right time and make their human puppets dance to the appropriate tune. This they do by dictating what is taught by what we bravely call education and what passes for news through the media they own. In this way they can dictate to the unthinking, unquestioning herd what it should believe about itself, other people, life, history, and current events. Once you set the norms in society, there is no need to control every journalist or reporter or government official. The media and the institutions take their truth from those same norms and therefore ridicule and condemn by reflex action anyone who offers another vision of reality. Once you control what is considered normal and possible, the whole system virtually runs itself. The Illuminati, the elite families, no more than 13 at the peak of their pyramid, created and manipulate this system of control through a network of secret societies. This network and the bloodlines it serves have become known as the Illuminati, the illuminated ones. In other words, they are illuminated into knowledge that everyone else is denied. The Illuminati is an organization within all significant organizations. It's like a cancer. All the major secret societies feed carefully chosen recruits into the Illuminati, and these are the ones you find in positions of power throughout the world. They infest all colors, creeds, and countries. Most Freemasons never progress higher than the bottom 3 levels of degree, the so-called blue degrees. They have no idea what their organization is being used for. Even most of those who make it to the apparent peak, the 33rd degree in the Scottish Rite, know relatively little. Only the tiny few, all from a particular bloodline, move through the top of their individual secret society into the Illuminati degrees above that. These are the levels into which all the major secret societies feed. Yet at least 95% of their members have no idea that these levels exist, never mind who is in them. The bloodlines, the Illuminati bloodlines, are all genetically connected through hybrid DNA, a genetic fusion caused by the interbreeding of a reptilian race with humanity and the Nordic extraterrestrial race. This interbreeding began hundreds of thousands of years ago and continues to the present day. If you are hearing this for the first time, I know how bizarre and crazy it sounds to the conditioned view of reality. But you will see in the pages that follow the scale of the evidence to support this apparently ridiculous story and how it explains a stream of ancient and modern mysteries. So many things that later turn out to be true appear at first hearing to be impossible and insane. That's because people only hear the opening line and don't read on to see the detailed evidence to support it. When people first suggested the Earth was round, they were called crazy because it was thought that those living on the bottom would have fallen off. The critics dismissed the idea at this point and walked away convinced that the Earth had to be flat. Yet when you introduce the law of gravity, what seems at first to be crazy suddenly becomes far more credible. So it is with the truth that a non-human race is controlling and manipulating humanity through hybrid bloodlines, the same bloodlines that have been placed in positions of power since ancient times. The supporting evidence is there if only people are prepared to open their minds, as you will see in this book and my others. It is these reptilian Illuminati bloodlines, manifesting as political leaders and administrators of government, that introduce the laws that will best serve their plan to keep humanity in ongoing servitude. These laws, which the masses have no say in creating, are then enforced by members of those same masses: soldiers, policemen, security guards, and so on. These guys, and many women today, are just system fodder. They are not encouraged to think for themselves, and it would not be good for promotion if they did. They are paid to do as they are told, carry out orders, and administer the letter of the law of the elite families. My father used to say that rules and regulations were for the guidance of the intelligent and the blind obedience of the idiot. But how many of those in the peaked caps administer the law in a sensible, every case on its merits, think for yourself manner? A mere fraction. And often they are far from popular with those higher up the ladder. Soldiers don't ask for justification for blowing away men, women, and children they have never met and know nothing about. They don't question their superiors about why they have to commit genocide. They just do it because they are told to do it, and those doing the telling are themselves carrying out orders from those above them. In the end, all roads of command lead ever upwards to the 13 family bloodlines and their offshoots that are orchestrating an agenda to take over the planet. That agenda demands a world government, central bank, currency, and army, underpinned by a microchipped population connected to a global computer network. A ridiculous conspiracy theory? Oh really? Well, have another look around you and you'll see that this is happening today, now. The sheeple, the self-policing of the human herd, goes far deeper than people in uniform or administrators of government. It starts with conditioned parents who impose their conditioning on their children and pressure them to follow their religious, political, economic, and cultural norms. There is no more extreme example than those who insist their offspring succumb to arranged marriages because of the rules of their ludicrous religion, or the children of Jehovah's Witnesses who have been denied life-saving blood transfusions because their brain-dead parents insist on conducting every aspect of their lives according to the contradictory dictates of a book purveying stories of pure fantasy. The creation of the mental and emotional sheep pen of norms, which imprisons 99% of humanity, goes on minute by minute in subtle and less subtle ways. There are children of Christian, Jewish, Muslim, or Hindu parents who don't accept the religion, but still follow it because they don't want to upset their family. Then there is the almost universal fear of what people think of us if we speak a different version of reality or live a different kind of life. Note that the fear for those who wish to break out of the sheep pen is not the fear of what the elite families, the Illuminati or illuminated ones, will think of them. Most have no idea that such a network exists. No, the fear is for what their mother or father will think, or their friends and workmates, the very people who are conditioned by the system to stay in the pen. The sheep are keeping the other sheep in line and making life unpleasant for anyone who tries to escape. It is so easy for a small group of interbreeding family bloodlines to control the lives, in other words the minds of billions, once the key institutions of information are in place, as they have been for thousands of years in their various forms. There are not enough of these manipulators and their stooges to control the population physically, and so they have had to create a structure in which humans control themselves through mental and emotional imposition. Once you have the herd mentality policing itself, there is a third phase in this entrapment of human consciousness. You create factions within the herd and set them to war with each other. This is done by creating different belief systems, which are not different at all, and bringing them into conflict. These belief systems are known as religions, political parties, economic theories, countries, cultures, and isms of endless variety. These beliefs are perceived as opposites when, as I pointed out in my book, I am me, I am free, they are opposames. The vision of reality and possibility within the pen is so limited that it contains no opposites. So the elite have to create the perception of them to manufacture the divisions that allow them to divide and rule. I mean, what is the difference between a Christian bishop, Jewish rabbi, Muslim or Hindu priest, or a follower of Buddha, imposing their beliefs on their children and others? There is none, because while the belief they seek to indoctrinate may be slightly different, often very slightly, the overall theme is exactly the same: the imposition of one person's belief on another. Look at the opposames in politics. The far left, as symbolized by Joseph Stalin in Russia, introduced centralized control, military dictatorship, and concentration camps. The opposite of that was the far right, as symbolized by Adolf Hitler. What was he into? Centralized control, military dictatorship, and concentration camps. Yet these two opposames were set at war with each other amid propaganda that claimed they were opposites. The only difference between the Soviet Union and the so-called West during the Cold War was that the Soviet Union was openly controlled by the few and the West was secretly controlled by the few. And, when you get to the capstone of the pyramid, you find they were the same few, controlling both sides. The same force operating through Wall Street and the City of London funded all sides in the two world wars, and that's provable. See, and the truth shall set you free. So let us summarize the scam. You need to first imprison the human mind with a rigid belief and a fundamentally limited sense of reality, the sheep pen. It doesn't much matter what these beliefs may be, so long as they are rigid and discourage free thought and open-minded questions. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, and all the rest, each make their contribution to human servitude while apparently claiming different truths. B. You encourage those who follow these rigid beliefs to impose them on others and make life very difficult and unpleasant for anyone who does not conform. C. You bring these beliefs into conflict, so ensuring the divide and rule you so desperately need for control by the few. While the masses are so busy fighting each other and seeking to impose their beliefs and views on each other, they don't see that the Illuminati have strings attached to all of them. Humans are like moths buzzing around a light, so mesmerized by their religious belief, the football scores, the latest row on a soap opera, or the price of friggin' beer, that they fail to notice the preparations being made to smash them on the arse with a swatter. Pyramids within pyramids. The Illuminati have created a pyramid structure throughout society that allows them to operate a global agenda that only a relative handful of people know exists. It is like those Russian dolls with one doll inside another, with the biggest one encompassing all of them. The Illuminati replace the dolls with pyramids. Figure 1. Every organization today is a pyramid. The few at the top know what the organization is really about and what it is trying to achieve. The further you go down the pyramid, the more people work for the organization, but the less they know about its real agenda. They are only aware of the individual job they do every day. They have no idea how their contribution connects with that of other employees in other areas of the company. They are compartmentalized from that knowledge and told only what they need to know to do their work. These smaller pyramids, like the local branch of a bank, fit into bigger and bigger pyramids, until eventually you have the pyramid that encompasses all the banks. It is the same with the transnational corporations, political parties, secret societies, media empires, and the military. If you go high enough, all the transnational corporations, like the oil cartel, major political parties, secret societies, media empires, and the military, via NATO, for instance, are controlled by the same pyramids and the same people who sit at the top of all the pyramids. In the end, there is a global pyramid that encompasses all the others, the biggest doll if you like. At the top of this you will find the most elite of the Illuminati, the purest of their bloodlines. In this way, they can coordinate through apparently unconnected, even opposing areas of society, the same policies. This is how they have created the explosion of centralization in every area of life: government, finance, business, media, military. It is not by accident or natural occurrence. It is by coldly calculated design. Jim Shaw, a former 33rd degree Freemason, exposes the craft in his book, The Deadly Deception, Huntington House Incorporated, Lafayette, Louisiana, 1988. He describes how Freemasonry is based on the same compartmentalized pyramids. At the bottom are the 3 degrees known as the blue degrees, and the vast majority of Freemasons never progress beyond that through either the 33 degrees of the Scottish Rite or the 10 degrees of the York Rite. Even at the 33rd degree of Freemasonry you still don't know the real secrets unless you are one of the chosen few, bloodline. Shaw says he was surprised when a fellow 33rd degree Mason said that they had told him he was going higher and the guy left the temple by a different door. Point 1. There is, officially, no higher than the 33rd degree. But, of course there is. The top levels of the secret societies are only the top of their pyramid. They are also encompassed by a bigger pyramid, which includes all the secret societies, and they feed their chosen bloodline initiates into the unofficial Illuminati degrees where the real action and the real secrets are. But even at that level, the knowledge is still compartmentalized. So you have this vast web of secret societies with millions of members worldwide, who think they know what they are involved in, but, in truth, only a tiny few have any idea of what is going on and who, ultimately, is calling the shots. Albert Pike, who died in 1891, was one of the most preeminent figures in world Freemasonry. Among his titles were Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree and Supreme Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry. In his book, Morals and Dogma, written for higher degree Freemasons, he reveals the way the lower levels are misled. The 33 degrees of the Scottish Rite and 10 degrees of the York Rite both include the blue degrees, of course. The blue degrees are but the outer court or portico of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine that he understands them. Their true implication is reserved for adepts, the princes of masonry, too exactly. Jim Shaw says that there are two kinds of Freemason. One just sits through the meetings and doesn't make much effort to understand the ritual, and the other does all the work, but only keeps to the ritual and memorizes or reads the words without understanding what they really mean. That's correct, but there is a third kind, the very few who know the truth of who really controls Freemasonry and what the rituals and initiations are really designed to achieve. Shaw also confirms from his own experience how the Freemasons manipulate their own into whatever positions they choose. At work, his department director, a fellow Freemason, advised him to apply for a particular job. Shaw felt he was underqualified for the post and would fail the test paper. Only through the urging of his Freemason boss did he apply. When he arrived to take the test, he was amazed to see that there were only 2 other applicants for a job he believed would be keenly contested. When he turned over the test paper, he saw that the questions were very easy and he finished them quickly. His 2 rivals, however, were clearly finding the paper very tough and could not complete it in the allotted time. Shaw got the job. Why? Because he was not given the same paper as the other 2. When he walked out of Freemasonry, the opposite happened. He found his bosses far less supportive, to say the least. This is just one small example of how the Illuminati and their secret society web ensure that their guys are in the positions that matter. It is actually astonishing how few people you need to control to dictate your agenda through the whole system if they are A. in the key positions of decision making, and B. they have the power to appoint those in the important positions below them. An example: you control the chief of police who decides the policy, and he can appoint the heads of the various departments in his force. He introduces Illuminati policy and chooses his major subordinates from the secret society initiates. They, in turn, can appoint the people within their departments and can thus choose more secret society initiates for the positions below them. So it goes on. Once you have control of the top man in any organization, the pyramid is built in his, that is the Illuminati's, image. Governments are structured in the same way. Mind over masses. There are 2 techniques of mass manipulation that people need to understand if they are to begin to see through the game. One I call problem reaction solution, and the other I term the stepping stones approach. These have been used for thousands of years to advance the agenda, and, together with fear, they remain the 2 most effective weapons of the Illuminati. The first technique works like this. You know that if you openly propose to remove basic freedoms, start a war, or centralize power, there will be a public reaction against it. So you use problem reaction solution. At stage 1 you create a problem. It could be a country attacking another, a government or economic collapse, or a terrorist bomb. Anything in fact that the public will think requires a solution. At stage 2, you report the problems you have covertly created in the way you wish for people to perceive them. You find someone to blame, a patsy like Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma, and you spin the background to these events in a way that encourages the people to demand that something must be done. These are the words you wish to hear because it allows you to move on to stage 3, the sting. You then openly offer the solutions to the problems you have yourself created. These solutions, of course, involve the centralization of power, the sacking of officials or politicians that are getting in your way, and the removal of more basic freedoms. With this technique you can so manipulate the public mind that they will demand that you do what, in normal circumstances, they would vehemently oppose. The Oklahoma bomb at the James P. Murrah building on the 19th of April 1995 was a problem reaction solution classic. In And the Truth Shall Set You Free, I expose how McVeigh was set up by forces he did not understand, and how a fuel fertilizer device in a Ryder truck could not possibly have caused that horrific damage for and what followed this death and destruction. Anti-terrorism laws went through Congress without challenge that removed fundamental freedoms from American people. I have no sympathy with the political views of McVeigh and the Christian patriots in general, except to the extent that they seek to expose the basics of the global agenda. But that's not the point. Establishing the truth of what happened is the point, no matter what the views and attitudes of those involved. I think it is called justice. If you are wondering why McVeigh offered no defense and later asked to be executed, see the section on mind control. The two most effective problem reaction solutions in the 20th century were the two global wars. They changed the face of the world, as wars always do, and led to a massive centralization of power. The United Nations, like its predecessor, the League of Nations, was an Illuminati creation to act as a Trojan horse or stalking horse for world government. The media play their part to perfection in these PRS scenarios. At ownership level, people like Conrad Black at the Hollinger Group know what is going on and use their newspapers to pursue the Illuminati agenda. The key editors they appoint might know something of it, and also certain columnists. But most of the journalists will have no idea. The editor is always there to block anything they write that is against the interests of the Illuminati, and if they insist on pursuing an unwelcome story they find themselves looking for another job. And, anyway, most of what journalists write comes from official, Illuminati, sources. In the immediate aftermath of a major event such as Oklahoma, where are the reporters getting their information? From official sources. We are told that White House sources say this and FBI sources say that. This is how the Illuminati transmit through the media the version of these events that they wish the public to believe. These reports are blazed across the front page of newspapers and the top of radio and television news bulletins throughout the world, and what they say becomes the norm. In the weeks and months that follow, researchers who are interested in the real truth begin to dig away. Over and over they establish and document the proof of how the official version was a lie from start to finish. But where are their reports published? In small circulation newsletters and on radio stations that operate with a fraction of the money and audience of the Illuminati empires. Years after the official version has been demolished, it still prevails in the public mind. Stop people in London, New York, Cape Town, Sydney, anywhere, and ask them what happened in Oklahoma, the Second World War, or Kosovo. Every time they will give you the official story because that is the only one they have heard. The bedfellow problem reaction solution is a stepping stones approach. You know where you intend to lead people, but you realize that if you gave them the true picture you would, once again, face substantial opposition. So you travel to your destination in little steps, and each one is presented in isolation and isn't connected to all the others. It is like a drip, 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 to global centralization. This technique was used most obviously with the fascist superstate now known as the European Union. If the politicians had suggested a centralized Europe with common laws and currency, there would have been an outcry. People would have said they had been fighting Hitler to stop just such a European dictatorship, and there was no way they were accepting another. To overcome this, the Illuminati offered a free trade area and even used the problem of their manipulated world wars to encourage more cooperation between the countries of Europe. Once they had the free trade area, however, the foot in the door, they began to expand its powers until it became the fully fledged fascist political and economic dictatorship it is today. The same is happening with NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and APEC, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the free trade area for Asia and Australia. Look at today's newspapers and television news bulletins and you'll see problem reaction solution and the stepping stones technique played out day after day. One extremely effective way to see through this scam is to keep asking yourself, who benefits from me believing this version of events or accepting the solutions and changes being offered as a result? The answer will be almost every time, anyone who wishes to centralize power and suppress more freedoms. Blind faith over thousands of years. Religion has best served this structure for human control, and I will highlight later in this book the historical background and present-day manipulation of these faiths. But, in short, they have created rigid belief systems that should never be questioned, imposed those beliefs through fear, indoctrination, isolation, and the mass genocide of non-believers, and fought each other for dominance of the human mind, thus producing an orgasm of opportunity for the Illuminati to divide and rule for millennia. Another question. Is it more likely that an Illuminati which has its origins in the ancient past, long before these religions were created, just happened to get lucky when such a perfect vehicle for human control independently emerged? Or is it rather more probable that these institutions of human enslavement were purposely created by these very same Illuminati to advance their agenda? But religion is not the conspiracy, and nor are economics, politics, and all the rest. They are part of a vast web of interconnected manipulation designed to persuade the masses to put themselves in prison and throw away the key. The Illuminati work through every belief system, religious, political, economic, racial, and cultural, and through every side in the major debates. The reason is simple: if you want to know the outcome of a game before the game has even started, you need to control all sides. The manager of a football team cannot dictate the result if he only controls one side. If, however, he is managing both sides, he can decide the result before a ball is kicked. So it is with the Illuminati, the hidden hand behind the events that affect our lives and our world every day. But, by the end of this book, if you are open-minded enough to complete it, the hand will be hidden no more. The truth is not only out there. A lot of it is right here. Sources: 1 Jim Shaw, The Deadly Deception, Huntington House Incorporated, Lafayette, Louisiana, 1988. p. 103. 2 Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, page 819. 3 The Deadly Deception, pp. 65 and 66. 4 And the Truth Shall Set You Free, pp. 321 to 324.
The function of the One is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program. After which you will be required to select from the matrix 23 individuals, 16 female, 7 male, to rebuild Zion. Failure to comply with this process will result in a cataclysmic system crash, killing everyone connected to the matrix, which, coupled with the extermination of Zion, will ultimately result in the extinction of the entire human race.
You won't let it happen. You can't. You need human beings to survive.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept. However, the relevant issue is whether or not you are ready to accept the responsibility for the death of every human being in this world. It is interesting reading your reactions. Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the One. While the others experienced this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific, vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own.
No.
Which brings us at last to the moment of truth, wherein the fundamental flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. There are 2 doors. The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the Matrix, to her, and to the end of your species. As you adequately put, the problem is choice. But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction, the chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Hope. It is the quintessential human delusion, simultaneously the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
We won't.
God said he sunk the migrants. The Pope's like, save the migrants, save the migrants. What? I was like, get the U-boats. I was like, hey, Popus, hey, God said he sunk the migrants. The Pope's like, save the migrants, save the migrants. I'm like, what? I was like, get the U-boats.
Tinky Winky,
Tinky Winky,
Dipsy, La La,
La La,
Po. Warning, if you don't want your childhood to be ruined, click to another video now before it's too late. You've been warned. In 1953, the CIA created the MK-Ultra Project, a secret mind control program that experimented on American citizens with a variety of illegal methods, including giving patients high doses of LSD, forcing patients to listen to the same thing over and over again, and various forms of torture. Then, in 1973, the program was shut down and many of the documents were destroyed by the CIA to cover up its existence. It wasn't until 1997 that a new MK-Ultra project was created. This new program was much more secretive and widespread. But today, I'm going to be exposing the truth behind the new program, codenamed Teletubbies. Teletubbies is a show targeted to toddlers with underdeveloped brains that are more susceptible to brainwashing. Now why don't we watch a little bit of Teletubbies and see what we find. Now right off the bat, we see the show using overstimulating vibrant colors to mimic the psychedelic effects of LSD, just like the original MK-Ultra projects. Ooh, it's so colorful. It burns my eyes. And then there's this giant windmill that's in every episode that makes the Teletubbies watch a video of some random kids doing something.
Hello, I am Joseph. Come and meet my friends. Hello. Playing in the rain.
finally it's over. That clip was so boring and it took forever. Wait, are they seriously gonna just play the same clip again?
Hello, I am Joseph. Come and meet my friends.
Yep, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Who cares? Repetition is the most common form of brainwashing, and the windmill is used throughout the show to reinforce this. You can even see it hiding in the background, watching the Teletubbies while secretly pulling the strings. Another recurring image is these speakers that pop out of the ground. Now I want you to listen closely to how the music changes when the speakers come out of the ground.
Where have the Teletubbies gone?
Teletubbies is about 25 minutes long, and the majority of those 25 minutes is literally just the speakers telling the Teletubbies what to do.
Tinky Winky sang a song about the bag.
Time for Tubby bye-bye. Time for Tubby bye-bye. Time for Tubby bye-bye.
Boo! Boo!
No.
And some of it's just ridiculous.
It was Dipsy's turn to answer the tubby phone.
Okay, Dipsy has to answer the phone, okay.
Dipsy came down on the dub-dub.
Dipsy down, dap, dap. Dipsy down, dap, dap. Ring, 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 ring.
Then Dipsy went up on the dub-dub.
Wait, didn't you just say that Dipsy had to answer the phone?
Dipsy's up on the dap,
And then Dipsy came down again.
Okay, now Dipsy can answer the phone, okay.
Dipsy down on dap, dap. Again, again. Down, down.
Then Dipsy went up on the dub-dub.
Wait, what about the phone? This subconsciously implants the idea that you should always mindlessly obey orders if you want to be happy like the Teletubbies. Alright, that's enough. Clearly I've exposed the truth behind the Teletubbies. There's no need to keep watching. Oh dear God, what is that? I can't keep watching. I can't do it. Look at it, oh my God, just look at it. This monstrosity is called Nunu. I guess it's like the Teletubbies' butler that cleans up after them. All I can imagine when I look into those soulless, unblinking eyes is it saying, "Please kill me." I have a theory that there was originally 5 Teletubbies, but one of them was brainwashed and conformed so much that they turned into Nunu. You see, Nunu represents what the government wants you to become, an obedient mind slave with no personality of your own. Eventually, all the Teletubbies will become Nunus. And that's the truth behind the Teletubbies. Hopefully you'll think twice about what you watch on TV. I think I've seen enough Teletubbies for the rest of my life. I'm just gonna turn this off now. Wait, what the? If it's not coming from the TV, then where's it coming from? Oh no. No, please, no. No, 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 no! 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 Please kill me.